Honorable Chabaleng, and also good morning to all the members of the Select Committee of Health and Social Services. I believe also that the Minister and the Deputy Minister will be present at the meeting. And let me first use this opportunity to thank the ruling party for giving me these responsibilities to chair the Select Committee of Health and Social Services, which I believe is the most vulnerable community and also the most needy people in South Africa, and that I will give my full commitment and cooperation with all the members of the committee and together with our personnel, and to make sure that this committee is functioning perfect in terms of serving those who need us to give them service delivery. So in those few words, I am then grateful to chair this committee. And then Michelle, without any delay, may I first, can we flag the agenda so that we be able to see that what we are going to, matters that we're going to deal with today. The first point was the election of the chairperson and apologies. Can we then have any apologies?
Again, good morning, Chairperson, members, colleagues, and Minister, Deputy Minister, colleagues for the department. Chairperson, we have no apologies. All our members are present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I think before we give to the department, it's first to welcome the Minister and the Deputy Minister, and then first to give the Minister to make any remarks, and then we will then go to the briefing by the department. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. And good morning to you, Chair, and to all the members of the Portfolio Committee.
Thank you.
And the members of the department. This being my first meeting with this Portfolio Committee, thank you very much for inviting us. We are going to present our APP, but I just want to say that there may be some changes that we are going to introduce in the APP, not many, because we decided to have a bit of step change in the way we approach our committee, our department. In the past, our department has always been an advocacy department, but we don't implement anything. So this time we decided that we'll implement a few projects, especially in the very poor municipalities, to try and alleviate hunger and poverty. And we will present some of those. And we also decided that the NYDA must also work with us on some of the things that we would like to do. But because you have a limited time, I don't want to go into much detail because there will be a presentation. The other thing that we thought we should do is to try and work with the Defense Force, because the Defense Force has a lot of skills. And we thought with so much unemployment, with so much problems especially with the youth, if we can work with the Defence Force to skill some of the young people so that they can be able to get jobs or create jobs. So we're in discussion with the Defence Force about that. They already do train those that they recruit into the Defence Force. They train them to be soldiers, but they also give them a skill. So we are wanting to get them to skill even some young people outside those that they are recruiting into the Defence Force. In terms of the other projects, we want to do some agricultural projects, assist women and young people and persons with disability to do some agricultural projects where they live, so that they can be able to have food, but also sell some of their products. And that way we can alleviate hunger. But this will depend on how much support we can get from others, because as you know, our budget is quite limited. We'll try and partner with others so that we can be able to go a bit further than our own budget. We also are happy that the sign language is now recognized as is going to be recognized as the 12th official language. But that also places a lot of responsibility on all of us, because then if it's an official language, it means it can be used and should be used anywhere. Therefore, we may want to have some kind of program with other departments, but also Parliament and everyone, on how do we then make it a language that if a deaf person meets you and they know you're a member of Parliament, they know you're a minister, and they start speaking to you outside a setting of a meeting where there's an interpreter, what do you do? So we may have to look at that and see what can be done. But without much ado, thank you for inviting us. I will hand over to the department. Maybe the Deputy Minister wants to say a few words, and then the department can start the presentation, and then we'll come back after the presentation. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for the input in terms of how to approach our way going forward. Deputy Minister, you are welcome to make remarks.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning to honorable members. Morning, honorable ministers and the DG and the team. I take this opportunity to really appreciate the fact that you are most welcome in the committee. Indeed, like the minister, it's my first time sitting before you. And as the minister has already indicated that we commit to work with you in making sure that we implement the mandate of the committee, of the department, which minister has just quickly illustrated the role and the mandate of this department. I won't say much, Honorable Chair, because Minister has just covered everything that we see as a way going forward in making sure that we change people's lives where they are. Of course, this department should play that role. Yes, Chair, working with all other departments. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister. And once again, to thank the Honorable Minister and the Honorable Deputy Minister for being in this meeting. It's all our first meeting Thank you very much. And we will then now the DG, invite the DG to give us the presentation. DG. Can we give to the department? Michelle, the department ready?
Yeah, they're connecting.
Okay, and thank you very much, Honorable. Okay, we will just give that few minutes for them to connect. To flag the presentations if possible.
My request, my name is Velma Tobela, the Chief Director in the Office of the DG. I'm requesting to have sharing rights for the presentation. Thank you.
Your call has been placed on hold.
Okay, thank you very much. You are welcome. Michelle, can you assist?
I've done so, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. DG tried to call me. I request your permission, Chairperson, to check the DG and then notify Minister and Deputy Minister and yourself. It looks like she's got challenges.
Okay. I'm again back to Michelle. Can we quickly look for the DG? If the department chief director, so the DG is going to do the presentation herself.
Chairperson, I've got a role to play in the presentation. The DG takes the committee through the first few slides, which as she sorts herself out, through you, Chair, you will guide me. I'm able to start with the presentation.
Okay.
Oh, DG is in.
The
Thank
DG
you.
is welcome, DG. Good morning.
Morning. Thank you very much. My apology, I couldn't connect. Load shedded.
Thank you very much. You are welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairperson and all members. Good morning, Minister and Deputy Minister and my colleagues. Val, skip that page, go straight to background. I won't go through the entire background. I'll just talk to salient points. I'll start from slide 3, where the department in 2019 responded to the expanded mandate, and it had to redraft its strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan. And in 2020, 2021, when I joined the department, again, the department had a strategic workshop where we relooked at the priorities and came up with other outcomes, but also amended the mandate to regulate the socio-economic transformation and implementation of empowerment of women, youth, and persons with disabilities. The revision was also as the outcome of including the development, the district development model, because every government department was expected to work on the district development model. With the current new executive, we've had we had a strategic workshop at the retreat where we also re-looked at the outcomes, but also re-looked at the mandate of the department and prioritized 10 poorest districts in order to ensure that we implement programs that will empower women, youth, and persons with disabilities, as they are the most affected by unemployment. Next slide. We have gone back to the old mandate, which was to lead on socio-economic transformation and implementation of the empowerment and participation of women, youth, and persons with disabilities through mainstreaming, advocacy, monitoring, and evaluation. Also, the institutional policies and strategies over the 5-year period from 2019 to 2024 were to develop the Women Empowerment and Gender Equality Bill. However, the process was delayed due to COVID-19 and the leader of business, of government business, requiring that government departments prioritize one legislation. So the department prioritized the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. However, through the Department of Justice, we are working on the Disability Rights Bill, and also the National Youth Development Agency Amendment Act has been tabled in Parliament. Also, the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide have been tabled in Parliament. Val, skip this one. I won't go through the mission, vision, and what's important, I think, for now is the priorities. Not just of the 6th administration, the priorities of the 6th administration we've presented on them many times, and all of us know them. I would like to go to slide 6, where the new executive authority has identified certain priorities that will ensure that as a department we respond to the unemployment challenge that South Africa has, especially of young people, but not forgetting women and persons with disabilities. So we've identified few priorities that we will focus on. Slide 8, sorry, not slide 6, slide 8, go to slide 8. The first one is on disability. There is a challenge and there is communication breakdown sometimes between us and the disability sector, because we don't understand the terminology, and as a result, we're not able to respond to the needs of persons with disabilities. So as a department, we're going to prioritize developing best practice manuals and guidelines in partnership with the Department of Health and the disability sectors in order to develop them. These manuals: mental health, autism, epilepsy, and acceptable terminology on disability, the wheelchair provision, deaf and blind disabilities. We will also prioritize education, advocacy, and awareness around the prevention of discrimination and violence against persons with albinism. We all know that they are subjected to a lot of violence because of beliefs that they bring luck when you have their parts or their skin or whatever. We are going
Hello, DG. There is a network challenge.
A framework on self-representation to ensure that cabinet approves it so that we can gain access to justice for persons with disabilities. Oh, I was not aware that you can't hear me. Can you hear?
No, you are having challenges, DG, with your network.
Now. Yes, I have load shedding, but I was
Okay, the DG have some challenges. Chief Director, can
Yes,
you?
thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. DG just phoned me to continue
Yes.
as she's got a serious
Yeah.
network challenges. Chairperson, I will just start presenting on this slide and prioritizing the presentation as indicated by DG. We've included a lot of information that is in the annual performance plan. So I'm going to look at the critical slides and take the committee through those slides. On slide 6 that the DG was presenting, Chair, here we want to indicate that we propose to transform the ministry into an effective advocacy, project management and implementation arm of the presidency on matters relating to the well-being and advancement of the interest of women, youth and persons with disabilities. DG has already alluded to the fact that the key focus will be on lifting up the country's 10 poorest districts in implementing our projects. And on advocacy, we will continue to engage all stakeholders working on the well-being and interest of women, youth, and persons with disabilities to ensure support and optimal functioning of their machineries. We have planned in the APP, as I go through it, Chair, you will see that there will be machinery meetings that our minister is going to convene with the sector to communicate with the sector and also to take stock of how we are doing in improving the lives of women, youth, and persons with disabilities. There is a plan which may be a long-term plan which we would like to bring to the attention of the select committee, that because we intend to advocate and lead and be the voice for women, youth, and persons with disabilities government programs, we intend to establish a community radio station which will be our communication tool, which we will use to reach even the furthest places in rural places of this country. We also hope to be a department that focuses on capacity building through research, analysis, and advocacy. And we want to focus a change in time to do something about it by providing insights about impending change, which may be positive. These may be issues that are going to improve the lives of WIPD by making sure that they access socioeconomic opportunities. And some, there may be threats that this, through the research that will commission, may be areas that need to be improved by government, which represent socioeconomic threats for WIPD. And we also are going to propose that government treat and respond to youth unemployment and gender-based violence as a national crisis. Chairperson, you will recall during the COVID-19 pandemic, the president did pronounce that gender-based violence has become a second pandemic. The department chair is going to be working on an addendum under the leadership of the minister to make sure that we plan for these two programs of that we are declaring as a pandemic to address unemployment of youth and gender-based violence. And we will do that through the second plan, which is the operational plan that is in the department. Meanwhile, we will filter policy and include it in the addendum for youth to address youth skilling and unemployment. Chairperson, on the last bullet, here we want to make sure that there is value to policy making, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of our work. This we will do through data-driven and fundamentally collaborative initiatives that we will be adopting in this current financial year. And the priority will be given to the values of accuracy, relevance, predictive capacity, timelines, and we will put our people first. These are the legislative priorities. DG has already gone through them, but in this slide 7, Chair, I want to bring to the attention of the committee the constitutional amendment to recognize the sign language as the 12th official language, which has been achieved and tabled in Parliament by the Department of Justice, is a great achievement for the disability sector and the country at wide. And our department has also, in slide 9, I see things that DG has already touched in, the 6 best practice manuals and guidelines on disability. We will also commission a research chairperson that will enable us to know how climate change adaptation and vulnerabilities have affect persons with disabilities. We plan to partner with institutions of higher learning, and also the disability program has a huge responsibility to monitor compliance with national and international obligations for the rights of persons with disabilities in accordance with the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So we will be doing that work in partnership with relevant stakeholders, and particularly the National Home Builders Registration Council. On this work, Chairperson, you will know that in the previous financial year, we've achieved the development of frameworks. One of those frameworks is on issues of accessibility of government buildings. So we want to monitor the country at large in ensuring that there is disability accessibility for all buildings in the country, and we'll work with the stakeholders in achieving that. Chairperson, on this slide number 9, here we want to also just re-emphasize that as much as the youth employment programs have been in place and driven by the NYDA, our entity, there is a great appetite to make sure that the National Youth Service is revitalized, and we will be entering into partnership with the Department of Defense to make sure that there are skilling projects that will prepare youth, fix their lives, and prepare them to be of meaningful service to the country at large. And these skills, we believe that they will enable them to access careers that are sustainable in the economy. And the priority sectors for youth employment, Chair, on slide 10, beneficiation and skills development will be focused in the following areas: the creative industry, agriculture and agro-processing, manufacturing, digital and platform economics, oceans economy, green economy, construction, tourism, and cooperative and solidarity economies. The department will also be working on the establishment of the Innovation Center at Lusikisiki in partnership with relevant departments and the private sector partners. This Innovation Center, we believe that it will enable the reduction on youth unemployment, as we are declaring it as a pandemic. The following are our priorities with regard to advancing the well-being of the empowerment of women. I'm just going to go through them so that some of them, as I go through them, Chair, I'm going to indicate the erratums that we are going to table in Parliament as directed by the executive authority to improve how we have planned on them. The first one, Chairperson, that will go into the erratum is the 18 GBV rapid response team established at district municipalities. On this one, Chair, the department was working with COGTA to establish these rapid response teams to be on the ground to address GBV and femicide in local municipalities. However, with the work that has been done by the department, there've been a call to strengthen the existing rapid response team. So we will be reporting through the year on the work on how we are strengthening the rapid response team together with our stakeholders on the ground. I've already indicated the approach on the research that we will adopt, and we are still going, Chairperson, to have 12 stakeholder engagement conducted on the empowerment of women, youth, and persons with disabilities. The approach will be on programs that are going to improve the lives of women, youth, and persons with disabilities. We are also planning to benchmark with BRICS nation on their poverty reduction and livelihood strengthening programs. The gender, youth, and disability responsive budgeting, planning, budgeting, and procurement. We are seeking a presidential proclamation to be gazetted on the procurement from businesses owned by women, which is 40%, youth 30%, persons with disabilities 7%. This work has already started. The department has already is already taking through a cabinet memo in this regard through the CAP committees. And we will lead on the conceptualization and the establishment of a cooperative bank. And I've touched on the issue of the radio station for advocacy purposes. The following slide 12, 13, and 14, 15, they refer to the situational analysis that informed our planning, Chair. We know that females comprise 51.1% of the entire population in the country. And we've also analyzed in terms of the poverty report from Stats SA, the incidences of household by subjecting poverty indicators by age, sex of the household head in 2019. And the stat that is included in these slides, they have informed how we have prioritized our planning. So I'm going to move straight, Chairperson, with your permission, to slides that talk to the performance environment of the department. The department consists of 4 programs. The first program is administration. The second one, program 2, is mainstreaming women's rights and advocacy. Program 3 is monitoring, evaluation, research, and coordination. And program 4 is mainstreaming youth and persons with disability rights and advocacy. Chair, in the intro slide, we've included the history that the department is following in planning for this current financial year. And here on this slide, we are indicating that we have moved to a new building as a department, and we have realized savings on the accommodation budget funding that has resulted in us being able to add 18 additional posts to improve on the capacity, human resource capacity of the department. We have always been a department that is thinly stretched in terms of human and financial resources, and the Director General has been working behind the scenes with National Treasury and DPSA to ensure that we have a proper organizational structure in place and a suitable budget to implement our programs. We are not there yet, Chairperson, but we see a lot of improvement in the interventions that were adopted by management to address some of these challenges. And in addition, Chair, there are 2 critical, there's a post of a Director Human Resource Management, which has been identified as a critical function. We had 2 posts for the Director's International Relations, and since this got vacated by directors or getting promotions in other departments, the decision was taken to unfund one of the Director International Relations post to fund the Director HRM post. And Chair, I would like the committee to note that we do now have an approved organizational structure with the Minister of Public Service and Administration concurring in March with the redesigned organizational structure. The structure has now been approved. However, the department will continue to work on ensuring that there is a proper human resource capacity for the department in line with the HR plan that we have developed. This is a challenge that is ongoing, Chairperson. I'm moving to the annual performance plan and focusing on the performance information. I'm on slide 21. Slide 21 take us through the first program of the department, which is administration. The purpose of the program is to provide strategic leadership management and support services to the department. It's structured as follows through the sub-programs, which is at the Chief Directorate level, ministry, which provides support to provide executive support to political principals. Departmental management is the office of the DG. We provide executive support and strategic leadership and management of the department. Corporate management provide effective human capital management. Here, they also manage facilities and auxiliary services of the department, including ICT. Financial management provide and ensure effective financial management and supply chain services in the department. This include budget planning, expenditure monitoring, and management of procurement, acquisition, logistics, asset and financial transaction. The a directorate that is responsible for office accommodation is in facilities and auxiliary management, which in terms of the budget structure, the budget is separately budgeted for under office accommodation, hence it's standing on its own. Chairperson, I'm going to take through the committee and indicate our planned performance by focusing on the annual target and the output that we intend to have in place at the end of the financial year. In departmental management, we are tasked with the function of improving governance processes and systems for the department. We're going to ensure that the department obtains an unqualified audit opinion on predetermined objectives and compliance matters. And we are also going to have a business continuity plan approved. This is in response to any disaster that the department may need to manage. So we need to plan in an event of a disaster, have a plan which will inform management on how to deal with a disaster that may face the department and challenge it in implementation of its priorities. In financial management, they are going to ensure that all time invalid invoices received by the department are paid within 30 days. And they're going to also ensure that the department obtains an unqualified audit opinion on annual financial statement. And also they have a responsibility to ensure that any business that the department does with service providers, there is a 40% procurement spent on entities owned by women, and we will be reporting on the achievement of this target. On corporate management, we are going to ensure that we fill vacancies timeously and maintain a vacancy rate of less than 10%. We are also going to monitor the implementation of the human resource plan and produce 4 reports in that regard. And we also have a communication and security technologies infrastructure systems plan that is in place. So we're going to make sure that we monitor the implementation of that plan and make sure that the ICT of the department is modernized, secure, and integrated with the government-wide ICT. The slides 23 talks to what is in slide 24, so I'm going to skip it. In program 2, Chairperson, the purpose of this program is to provide good governance regarding the rights and transformation of the social and economic empowerment of women. We have 2 sub-programs in this program. The first one is social empowerment of women. They are responsible to promote good governance regarding the rights and transformation and social justice and empowerment of women. The next sub-program is economic empowerment of women. They mainstream and promote good governance regarding the rights transformation, economic justice, and empowerment of women. The vote for the CGE is located in this program and transferred on a quarterly basis to the Commission for Gender Equality. The outputs that are planned for this financial year is Socio-Economic Empowerment Index developed. They are going to produce reports that speak to the implementation of the Socio-Economic Empowerment Index for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. They've also planned to have 4 interventions that support economic empowerment, participation, ownership for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. They have also developed a strategy for economic empowerment for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. They are going to be implementing the strategy and producing the progress report on the implementation of the strategy. We have also planned to have a WECONA, the Women Economic Assembly, which was launched by the President. We are taking it to the provinces, and we will be working with provinces to ensure that it is rolled out provincially. So this is one of the key projects that they will be doing. On sanitary dignity implementation framework, Chairperson, we are responsible to monitor this policy that we developed as a department, and we produce reports on the progress that provinces are making in implementing the sanitary dignity implementation framework. In the reports, we highlight and make recommendation for improvement of any areas that we find to have challenges in the implementation of the framework, especially on issues of the provision of sanitary pads to quintile 1 to 3 and schools. We also have planned for intervention to support social empowerment and participation of women, which we will also make sure that those interventions are monitored. On social empowerment of women, this is the sub-program that is tasked with a huge responsibility of managing, monitoring the implementation of the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. So we have planned to make sure that 12 national departments are monitored on the implementation of the NSP on GBV, and 9 provincial departments and 9 municipalities plans will also be monitored for the integration of the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. The target, which I indicated earlier on the strengthening of the already existing rapid response teams, ERATAM is here, which we will come back to Parliament to correct how we have planned for it. We also, in this program, monitor the comprehensive national gender-based violence and femicide strategy, and will produce a 2 report on the implementation of the strategy. We will be convening 2 national gender machinery meetings, which will look at the women's sector and address all gender-related matters. Chairperson, the narrative for the planned targets are included in slide 29 to 30, which members may look at and engage us at the end of the presentation. Program 3, monitoring, evaluation, research, and coordination. They have 3 sub-programs in this program. The purpose of the program is to provide research, knowledge management, international relations, stakeholder management, and monitoring and evaluation for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. In the research and knowledge management sub-program, they provide research and knowledge management services on the rights of women, young people, and persons with disabilities to encourage transformation in their interest. And in international relations, we manage and coordinate the provision of international relations, stakeholder participation, capacity building for women, young people, and persons with disabilities. In monitoring and evaluation sub-program, they ensure the effective monitoring and evaluation of policies, priorities that encourage transformation in the interest of the empowerment of women, young people, and persons with disabilities throughout government. The outputs for the sub-program research and knowledge management is to have an integrated knowledge hub piloted and produce report on the progress made, and the research will be conducted on government priorities and reports on the implementation of international and regional commitments on women's empowerment and gender equality will be produced. On sub-program monitoring and evaluation, we here chairperson, the gender responsive planning, budgeting, monitoring, evaluation, and auditing framework is monitored, and we've planned to monitor 10 national departments on implementing how they're doing on implementing this framework. And the monitoring report on the status of the empowerment of women, youth, and persons with disabilities will be produced. And women, youth, and persons with disabilities responsive evaluation will be conducted. This evaluation, chairperson, we do it as per the government program through the DPME. The international relations, stakeholder management, and capacity building sub-program, they will be implementing the strategy on international relations for women, youth, and persons with disabilities, and convening 12 stakeholder engagement and 4 community mobilization initiatives. These 4 community mobilization initiatives are on national days of commemoration of women, youth, and persons with disabilities national days. Your June 16, your Women's Day, your Youth Day, and the department facilitate those programs, and the focus has been on ensuring that there is access to economic empowerment for WYPD in implementing those programs. We've included slides that indicate the number of programs that we have planned to implement in this current financial year, from slide 35 to 41, 42, I apologize. In slide 43,
Can I not
chairperson.
interrupt? Thank you. Not to interrupt, I just want to check in terms of also looking at time.
Yes.
So that I just also just want to try to manage so that we just know how far we are.
I need exactly 5 minutes, Chair. Then the CFO will finish off the report. I think she'll need 15 minutes to go through her slides.
Okay, you may continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Program 4, chairperson, the purpose of the program, this is the mainstreaming of rights of youth and persons with disabilities. They promote good governance regarding the rights and transformation of social and economic empowerment of youth and persons with disabilities. There's 3 sub-programs in this program: advocacy and mainstreaming of the rights of youth, advocacy and mainstreaming of the rights of persons with disabilities, and the vote for the NYDA is transferred from this program. On mainstreaming and advocacy and mainstreaming of youth, we've planned to have 4 national youth policy implementation monitoring reports produced. And we are also working on the South African Youth Development Bill, the development of the bill, and it should be processed through Cabinet in this financial year. The monitoring of the NYDA is done in this sub-program, and reports that informs the executive authority on how the NYDA is doing in implementing its APP, and the planned priorities is facilitated from this program. They also convene 4 youth missionaries, which is attended by stakeholders in the youth sector. On advocacy and mainstreaming, we've planned a chairperson to conduct disabilities awareness and produce 2 reports which will focus on the Disability Rights Awareness Month and the 365 days program. The implementation of the 4 frameworks are monitored in this sub-program, and we will be producing reports that goes to cabinet on how government is doing in implementing the frameworks, that the main outcome is to realize the rights of persons with disabilities in line with the white paper. The disability, we will also produce those 5 advocacy manuals that we indicated in the background slides, and the draft disability advocacy and mainstreaming strategy will be produced in this financial year, and 2 rights of persons with disabilities missionaries will be developed. The governance and compliance for the rights of persons with disabilities, they will produce a status report on compliance with national and international obligation for the rights of persons with disabilities, and develop an analysis report on the draft of all government national departments' annual performance plan to do an analysis to see that in their planning, they plan for programs that will benefit persons with disabilities. They will also produce an evaluation report on the implementation of the white paper. On this target, chairperson, we will also do an addendum, because the focus will also be on access to education by children with disabilities, and the focus of the research will also be adjusted to look at how climate change affects persons with disabilities. Chairperson, at this moment, I would like to hand over to the Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Lekgale, to continue with the presentation. Thank you, Chair, for this opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Val. Good morning, Chairperson, Ministers, honorable members, and colleagues. I'm going to provide a presentation on the allocation of the budget for the department, focusing on the 2023-24 financial year. The slide that is flighted at the moment, it demonstrates the allocated budget of the department over the 2023 MTF expenditure framework period. However, in the 2023-24 financial year, administration is allocated a budget of 99.5 million, which shows a decrease of 5.7%. Mainstreaming of the rights of women and advocacy is allocated a budget of 30.3 million, and there's a decrease of 1.3%. Monitoring, evaluation, research, and coordination is allocated a budget of 47.8 million from 45.1 million in the previous financial year, and there's an increase of 6%. Mainstreaming of the rights of youth is allocated a budget of 13.3 million, which is an increase from 10.7 of 24.4%. And lastly, mainstreaming of rights of persons with disabilities, it has an increase of 3% from 17.5 million to 18 million. In total, the allocated operational budget of the department for the 2023-24 financial year is 209,190,000. we have two entities which the department is responsible for transferring their budget to. It's the Commission for Gender Equality and the National Youth Development Agency, and they are allocated a budget of 94.1 million and 733 million respectively, and which brings the total budget of the department to 1,036,444,000. Next slide, please. Val, next slide, please. The budget of the department for the 2023 financial year, as indicated, amounts to 1 billion. Included in this budget is the allocation earmarked for transfers to the Commission on Gender Equality and National Youth Development Agency, amounting to 94.4 million and 731 million respectively. In addition, the department received an earmarked allocation amounting to 5 million for the establishment of the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. This leaves the department with an operational budget of 208.9 million, or 20.2% of the total allocated 1 billion. The department's major area of spending is in compensation of employees, and it constitutes 60.6 or 126.9 million of the total operational budget. Spending on goods and services is projected to amount to 76.5 million, or 36.6% of the 208 million. The allocation in this category of expenditure is also set aside for implementation of key priority projects of the department as outlined in the APP and the operational plan of the department. Next slide, please. The breakdown of the allocated budget of the department per economic classification is as follows. Compensation of employees is allocated a budget of 126.8 million. Goods and services decreases from 81.2 million to 76.4 million. Transfers and subsidies is allocated a budget of 13,000. Machinery and equipment is allocated a budget of 3.8 million. And lastly, the entities combined, the budget for the entities is 827,254,000. Next slide, please. Val, next slide. The compensation of employees increases in the 2023 MTF by annual inflationary adjustment increases and savings from goods and services to fund critical posts in the department. The budget decrease in goods and services over the 2023 MTF period is linked to the savings on office accommodation that were reprioritized to compensation of employees through National Treasury approval to fund critical posts in the department. The allocation for transfers and subsidies is earmarked for transfers to both agencies. The budget increase in machinery and equipment over the 2023 MTF is linked to the annual inflationary adjustment increases. Next slide, please. The next slides demonstrates the breakdown of the budget per sub-program within each program. I'm not too sure, Chairperson, in the interest of time, whether to go through the breakdown of the budget per sub-program or move to the next slide that speaks to the impact of load shedding in the operations of the department. Yes, this slide. Thank you. In terms of the impact of load shedding on the department relocated during September and October 22 to the new premises at Fatshaw building, which is situated at Lillian Goli Street in Pretoria CBD. The building has backup power generation, which enables the department to still function during load shedding. The impact of load shedding on events or campaigns have been included in the budgetary requirements where resources have to be provided. This includes backup power generation, especially where the area where events are taking place is very rural or remote from urban areas. Next slide, please. The office accommodation budget includes the budget for rental and parking, the budget for security services and cleaning services. The allocated budget for rental and parking for the 2023-24 financial year is 4.7 million. Security services is 2 million. And lastly, cleaning services is 1.8 million. The monthly rental include 40 parking bays for officials as per the initial agreement amounts to 317,819 rand per month, which equals to 3.8 million per annum. During the relocation, an additional 66 parking bays are to be procured to accommodate officials to park in the Tramshed building. This number has increased to 104 due to additional 18 posts, visitors parking, contracts, appointments, and etc. The amount for the 104 parking bays amounts to 98,800 per month, which brings the total amount for rental and parking to 416,619 rand per month. The physical security for the department amounts to 2.1 million per annum. The variance between this amount and the appropriation in the table above will be augmented from the cleaning services. The cleaning service of the building, including offices, amounts to 1.1 million. This is the amount for the interim solution as part of the relocation, and the services is out on tender to be concluded by June 2023. The breakdown of the compensation of employee budget per program is as follows. Program 1 administration is allocated a budget of 65 million. Program 2 is allocated a budget of 16.6 million. Program 3, 26.9 million. And lastly, mainstreaming rights of youth and persons with disabilities and advocacy is allocated a budget of 18.2 million, which brings the total of the compensation of employee budget to 126,871,000. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much to the department. DG and your team. Let me first say that in terms of, Michelle will indicate to me when I'm done with the hands that are up for engagement, but I will first make the following. Just first to thank the Minister and the Deputy Minister for the intervention on the skills projects, which is the Defense Force in terms of skills for the youth, and also the departments of agriculture, etc. So I just want to make that first remark, and then I will be giving, when I'm done, over to the members for engagement, clarities, etc. The key points, just to summarize in terms of the presentation, is the 4 programs which was presented of the department, and also the impact of load shedding, the budget of the department, and critical posts to be filled, vacancies. I'm just bringing that, so just because it was a long listening, just to bring our minds back to what was being presented. And then I will then now give to the members of the select committee. Michelle, can you indicate to me the hands which are Bulelo Baha, Honorable Baha, Honorable Chableng,
Chairperson, we have Ms. Latuli, Ms. Christians, Mr. Baha, Ms. Nchabaleng.
Yes, those are the 3 hands now that we are having. Let then put it in this sequence that we will start with Honorable Bacha, followed by Honorable Chabeling, and then Honorable Lutuli. Those are the 3 hands that we are having. Can we start in that sequence, Honorable Bacha?
Chair, I'm sorry. My
Honorable
hand is
Dongeni.
up. My
Sorry,
hand is up.
my apology, Honorable Dongeni. Then followed by Honorable Dongeni. My apologies, thank you. Can we then start in that sequence? Any further hands?
Christian's hand is also up.
Christians.
And Kosi's hand is up, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Whip, Honorable Kosi, thank you. Those are then, I think, having 5 hands. Honorable Bacha, Honorable Chabaleng, Honorable Lutuli, Honorable Christians, and Honorable Kosi, Honorable Ndongeni. 6 hands. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And also let me welcome the presentation by the department. Chair, I just have a few questions. The first one is the department has reverted to its 2021 mandate and values. What are the reasons for this? How can the department be held accountable for regulating others and developing regulations if it is not committed through its mandate? The third one is the department conducted in 21-22 that it is in need of researchers and staff to undertake monitoring and evaluation functions, as well as for the database development and maintenance. This challenge remains if the department has been aware of these shortcomings and lack of expertise. Why is it undertaking projects that require these skills? Who will undertake these tasks or projects? And the last one, Chairperson, is can the department give clarity or identify all staff and skills shortages and the impact that this has on the operations of the department? That's all, Chairperson. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bacha. Honorable Chabaleng.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson, and welcome to you. And as the new Chairperson, we have a new minister who is not a new minister and a new deputy. So, and at the same time, I'm actually excited by what the minister said about the increase, or not actually the change of March, but I think the increase of the speed of March, and that really that is the best direction one will ever wish for, because but particularly when it comes to linking up the department with the Department of Military Veterans and the Department of Defense, because we've got lots of military veterans, both from the liberation movement and of course ex-soldiers from the SADF, then now being the National Defense Force. But that all those people, those who've got disabilities, and some of them age also, will definitely need, will be happy for this change of pace, for this change of speed, and the new responsibility that we're bringing in, and beginning to commit departments physically. It's easier for people to comment on paper that will commit to helping women and the youth, and of course with people with disabilities. But at the end of when we look at what has actually people done, particularly in that sector, you find that it's not really more than what one would wish that, and not only wishing, but also knowing the capacity that the departments have in terms of personnel and finances that will be, the commitment will be interpreted in physical action commitment on the ground and improving lives of people. I'm thinking this time about the soldiers, like I said, but at the same time, Chairperson, the other issues would be, how do we change the speed in the march must also be informed by the speed in the budget. How much money, when we request for funding, how long does it take, the turnaround time to get the resources allocated to programs. Yeah, I'm really excited with this. And actually, there used to be some programs, I don't know what they are called and under which department they fall. In the something that was called, I think it was in the Department of Labor, sheltered employment factories, where soldiers with disabilities, from injuries from the Korean War and some of them from the other apartheid wars that happened those years. Those who were injured factories were built for them, where they could actually work and produce things that are given to the government. Most of the tasks in Parliament, I'm told, were made by those sheltered employment factories. I know very well that many government departments, I'm told, were using furniture from those factories. So I think it will be interesting to see how you can inject new life or change the speed of march in those kind of programs that the government has on the ground. Now, thank you very much, Chairperson. Bye, thank you.
Baya Danki, Honorable Shabaleng. Thank you very much. Honorable Tuli.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to everyone. Let us welcome you, Chairperson, in this committee, and we hope we're going to have a good working relationship with you as our chair. Chairperson, I have a few questions. One, I would like to know what will be the nature, content, and purpose of the advocacy manual. Who are the manuals targeted at? Will these manuals require training for implementation? Chairperson, and the other question that I have is that over the past few years, what has been the key highlights and outcome of the youth missionary meetings? And maybe lastly, Chairperson, I would like to know what is the current status of South African Youth Development Bill? And lastly, the last question now, Chairperson. Has the department view its oversight role of the NYDA versus the role of Parliament? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tuli. Honorable Nkosi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me start by congratulating your good self for being elected as the chairperson of the Select Committee.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best, Chair, hoping and trusting that we are going to work well with you. And formally thank the former chair or the acting chair and Tatin Chabeleng for steering the ship whilst we were not there. It was well and good for working with him, and thank you so much, Honorable Nchabeleng. Chairperson, I think some of the questions that I wanted to ask was asked by Honorable Nchabeleng, but I've got two things that I want maybe to talk about. One, the minister spoke about the alleviation of poverty in the poor municipality. I think I want to say to the minister, we will gladly accept that as this committee to say that they are addressing that issue of the poverty, because when you look at the statistics, the high rate of the unemployment, especially on the youth and women, it's very much not acceptable. So if they decided as the department to look upon that, we will really accept that, because I heard the minister spoke about it, that it is taken as a national crisis, and will gladly hear welcome that to be addressed. And we wanted to welcoming also the issue of the establishment of the community and constituency focused radio stations, whereby the department will communicate with our communities with regards to the issues related to the youth, women, and people living with disability, because our people out there wants to know what is, some of them, they don't know what is happening, but if this station it's open, it will be much easier for them to know exactly as to what is it that the department is planning in order to assist them. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Whip, Honorable Nkosi, Honorable Dongeni.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody in the meeting. Congratulations, Chair, to be our Chair.
Thank you, Mama.
Okay. Chair, I'm sorry about the camera. I have a challenge of load shedding here. But my question is, how effective are developing regulatory instruments at addressing significant high rates of unemployment of youth? The second one, since the development of the National Youth Policy, what are the key success in the addressing youth challenges as a result of the policy? And the last one, has the department conducted an impact assessment of the National Youth Policy? If so, can they please provide us with fundings? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dongeni. For the last speaker, Honorable Christian.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and allow me to congratulate you on your appointment as well. And I'm sure we'll have a good working relationship. And thank you to Honorable Nchabaleng for leading us this far. I just have a few questions for the department. I just want to know, recently in the media, the department has been asked about service delivery concerns raised by the persons with disability community. Now, how is the department addressing those concerns that were raised by the persons with disability sector? And then with regard to youth, since the development of the National Youth Policy, can the department just please update the committee on the progress and successes, but specifically in terms of youth challenges such as unemployment, poverty, and drug use? And then this year, the department will use 13.3 million of their budget on 4 national youth policy reports, 4 NYDA monitoring reports, 4 youth machinery meetings, and the development of a bill. And this bill was already started in the previous financial year. Now, my question is this the most efficient use of the budget to address the current challenges that is faced by both youth and persons with disabilities? And then, with regard to technical expertise within the department, in the 2021-2022 APP, the department then already acknowledged that there was a lack of technical expertise within its ranks, but specifically in the designing and operationalization of the integrated knowledge hub. Now, this lack of technical expertise has already been a challenge since 2019. And the department still has not addressed this gap. What is the department's progress in appointing skilled technical expertise? And this also then carries over to the need for researchers and staff, which the department has also expressed is needed in terms of its monitoring and evaluation functions, as well as the development of a certain database. And the department here as well has not yet addressed the skills shortages. Can the department just update us on how they will address these skills shortages without the use of consultants? Because equally concerning is the spending of large amounts of money with consultants in the department. How will they address the skills shortages in the department? And how will the department undertake these projects then that they've mentioned without the necessary expertise? And then coming to the consultants, can the department just please tell us how many consultants are being employed currently by the department? Which projects or areas are these consultants working on? And how long are these consultants expected to engage in their respective roles? And then lastly, Chairperson, there has been long-standing targets that have not yet been met by the department, and I'm specifically referring to targets of the IT and knowledge hubs that have not been met yet. What is the department's progress in this regard? And if they can just give us an update on when these targets will be met. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Christian. We had 6 members. I still see hands that are up. I don't know whether it's only on my side, but we have the 6 members. We will then give to the department, to Team DG, who will then spread the responses according to the responsible people. Then the DG will lead that. Can we give over to you, Honorable DG? DG, can we give to you?
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure if Minister wanted to say something before I speak. If not, Minister, I can just.
Honorable Minister? Any follow-up, Honorable Minister or Deputy Minister?
Okay. Most of the questions would be responded to by the department. I do want to say that indeed we've discussed with Minister Nglesi. We're going to be meeting about some of the things that are under him, like the sheltered companies for persons with disability. I'll be visiting some of them to see exactly what's going on, which is something that was raised by Honorable Ntshabeleng. In terms of the budget, we are asking for support, and we see how much support we will get for what we would like to do. And now, in terms of the NYDA oversight, Parliament does oversight, but because NYDA gets the budget from us, and we are the ones who report to, who do the budget, vote for them, we also have to ensure that we know what they are doing. We're not, maybe the use of oversight is a wrong term, but we're not taking over the work of Parliament. We just have our own responsibility because we do transfer money to them and we do report to Parliament on their budget. Like the budget vote will be done by us. So that's really what it is. On the question of the radio, I'm glad that it's something that you are welcoming, and I hope that you will assist us if we get grief from ICASA, but we hope ICASA will also cooperate when we apply for the license. We hope that we can get support from yourselves. In terms of youth unemployment, we're not saying we're taking over the employment of youth. We'll just do our part where we can. So it's not the totality of youth unemployment that we are going to be looking at. We will just look at what we can do from our part and contribute to the reduction of youth unemployment, but the other youth questions will be answered by the department. We also want to encourage young people to be innovative in business and in the sectors where they are. And to that end, we are going to have we're going to have a South African chapter of the 40 under 40 innovators. This program happens on the continent, but we now want to have a South African chapter where we're going to nominate the best 40 award, the best 40 innovators of young people who are under 40 in business and in the sectors where they are. So we're going to be doing those awards this year. Maybe for now, I'll stop at that and allow the department to answer to the other issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. Chairperson, I would like to, before I respond to the questions, to rectify 2 slides. Slide 6, where it says our proposal is to transform the ministry. I want to indicate that it's a mistake. It should be is to transform the department, not the ministry, but the department. But also because of the resources that we have, where we talk about 10 poorest districts, actually we looked at 10. However, we settled on 5 that we can only be able to implement programs in the 5 poorest districts because of the resources, because of the challenge of the resources. Thank you. On the issues, the questions that were raised, there was the first question was reasons for changing the mandate from regulating to just facilitating. When you look at the entire mandate, it was agreed that with the aim, it will facilitate, however, with the aim of regulating. So the agreement was that because we do not have a legislation that is giving us the mandate to regulate, we cannot say we regulate because you regulate with a legislation. That was the discussion then. The other question was the monitoring and evaluation function and our capacity to be able to do research and develop a database. I think, as it has been said many times, that the department is thinly resourced. We do sometimes with a budget for goods and services, sometimes use a certain consultants, as it was said earlier on, that how many consultants do we have? We have partnered with the Department of Science and Innovation because the HSRC is under the Department of Science and Innovation in order to utilize the services of HSRC to conduct research for us, because they are an institute or an institution that is focusing on doing research. So we do use their services in order to do research. And on the issue of whether we've identified the skills shortage, yes, I think it's important to remember that this department was established from a directorate that was in the presidency, the Office of the Status of Women. So the extension of that directorate to a department might have had the impact of how this department is established, because this department is established at the same time as ever this department was not resourced as other departments have been resourced. So that, yes, has resulted in the shortage of skills, and 2, technicians. So you cannot bring other skills from outside or whatever, because you do not even have a post. Hence, we have downgraded from the building where we are, because the building where we are, we were paying about 15 point something, nearly 60 million. And now, as indicated, that we have gone down to 4.7. And we have then redirected the savings to compensation of employees so that we can be able to employ more people. But the challenge also was as a result of the National Treasury cutting the compensation of employees. But 2020, when I arrived in the department, 2020, 2021, there were cuts. 2021, 22, there were further cuts. 22, 23, there were further cuts. Even 23, 24, there are further cuts. So that also challenges not just the Department of Women, but the Department of Women was mostly hit because it was a small department anyway. That's how we are not able to bring in the relevant people that we want. But now, because of the savings that we made on the building, we are able to advertise 14 posts, but 18 posts. But the challenge also is that we couldn't bring people at the director level. So we have, I think, few deputy director posts and assistant directors in order for us to be able to augment in some areas. Besides, yes, Minister has responded to that, but the PFMA regulations and their directives and the DPME regulations, they refer to the department having oversight over NYDA. And as Minister said, that we're not duplicating what Parliament is doing, but it's oversight in terms of the budget that the Minister is responsible for, the budget for NYDA, as she said, that their budget comes through the department. And that is the oversight that the Public Finance Management Act refers to. And I will also bring in my colleagues to respond to some of the Minister has responded to the community radio stations, youth employment as a national crisis. Benis, can you come in and respond to youth issues, and then Puti will respond to disability. Chairperson, with your permission.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yes,
thank you. You may continue.
Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, Minister, DG, and colleagues. My name is Benis Tlhagala. I'm responsible for youth development in the department. There are questions which I've noted, which have been asked directly on youth. The first question is regarding the issue of national youth machineries. And the question was asking what are the highlights of the National Youth Machinery. First, let me explain that the National Youth Machinery is a platform between the department and the national as well as provincial youth focal points for disseminating information, but also for joint planning. And that is where we also track progress on what national government departments as well as the provinces are doing on youth development. And some of the key highlights that I would like to mention regarding the National Youth Machinery is that we were able to disseminate information on what our department is actually doing with regard to youth development, mainly policy information on policy development. We also use it as a consultation platform
to consult the youth focal persons so that they can make input, for an example, into the national youth policy, into the M&E framework. But then we also include the National Youth Development Agency, where they disseminate information on their products and services, including consulting with the stakeholders on policies developed by the NYDA, such as the Integrated Youth Development Strategy. And through the National Youth Machinery, we have supported national departments as well as provinces to develop their sector-specific policies, which form the basis upon which programs for young people are designed. For an example, KZN Province, Office of the Premier, has an approved integrated youth development strategy, and it was through this platform that we were able to support them develop that strategy. Provinces such as Limpopo also has got the integrated youth development strategy, and Gauteng. And there are also government departments that have developed sector-specific strategies. I'm just going to name a few, like National Department of Social Development, as well as Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Reform. They also have got strategies in place for youth. These are not the only stakeholders who have strategies. I've just cited a few. But then also in terms of motivating to the offices of the Premier so that they can set up units responsible for youth development. This has been an advocacy platform to do so. And you will find that the various stakeholders are even able to benchmark with one another in terms of what they're doing. I'm going to just mention the last achievement. It is the fact that through this platform, other provinces are now establishing the youth funds. It started in KZN province, where the Office of the Premier launched and established a youth fund, and now Limpopo has also launched a youth fund, benchmarking with what KZN is doing, and Gauteng is also following suit, and other provinces are learning best practices, amongst one another. On the NYDA amendment bill, let me report that the department has facilitated the process of amending the bill, and Cabinet has approved its tabling in Parliament. We have now tabled it in Parliament. Our role as the department is now to support the parliamentary process, and the latest that we have learned is that the bill has been published for further comments in Parliament, and our role now is to support the process, the parliamentary process. The issue of oversight, both Minister and the DG have responded to that. And then the other one was what are the key achievements in terms of the national youth policy. And what I can just report on is that we've got a detailed report, and we've got a latest report of the national youth policy monitoring of the national youth policy. And we report against the 5 pillars of the national youth policy on the issue of education skills and quality education skills and second chance. For an example, the department is tracking, one of the indicators that we are tracking is progress in attainment of maths and science in schools, as well as at post-school level. And with regard to that, we have recorded that there are passes in mathematics as well as physical science. And we have got about 269,000 learners who wrote matrics with 148 passes. Is about 55 percentage pass rate. And there are also some of the indicators where we are tracking the number of new students who are funded, and the results also indicate that there is an estimate of more than 275,000 students who have been funded in the year 2023. So honorable members, I can just summarized by saying that the department can actually share the National Youth Policy Monitoring Report, so that I don't actually go through it, but then it shows overall progress that we have made as a country on the 5 pillars of the National Youth Policy, which is education, which is economic participation, physical and mental health, and then it also shows progress on social cohesion and nation building. And then the 5th pillar is effective and responsive youth development machinery. So we report progress based on the data that we are gathering from the various stakeholders at national as well as provincial level. I think the other one was in relation to the bill which we are currently developing, which is the South African Youth Development Bill. This is an overarching legislation for youth development in the country, and we have consulted with the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor. The bill, we have done preliminary consultations with the stakeholders, and then now we are busy processing the bill to Cabinet for its approval as a discussion document. Once it is approved, then we will be in a position to consult with various stakeholders, broadly including young people. But then we have had a preliminary consultation when we were developing the bill. And then there was also the other question, which was in relation to the issue of unemployment, substance and social problems such as substance abuse, teenage pregnancy. In that regard, our response is that the minister has already alluded to the fact that the issue of unemployment, we are also addressing it, and there's a strategy that is in place. In our presentation, we mentioned that we will be working very closely with the Department of Defense to ensure that we intensify skills revolution, and the intention is to identify the high priority sectors which have got a potential to absorb and create, to create jobs for young people and absorb them. So that is how we are going to be tackling the issue of unemployment. On the other areas of substance abuse, teenage pregnancy, we work with line function departments such as the Department of Social Development, the Department of Health. For an example, this past year, we were able to conduct to have outreach programs on substance abuse, teenage pregnancy, as well as encouraging young women to pursue STEM careers and STEM subjects. But because of limitation of resources, I can say that our reach is not as broad as it is supposed to be. But then we continue in our plan. We will be working with stakeholders to continue with the intergenerational dialogues across the country, mainly targeting the poorest districts in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll request Dr. Pravina Sukresh Ali to respond to the ones on disability. But before she comes in, there were two questions that I forgot to respond to. One was on ITC, that the department had problems with ITC. That was in 2001. The department has all the challenges that were raised have been addressed. On knowledge management, the challenge was that we didn't have anyone to work on it because we didn't have a post. However, within the 18 posts that have been created now, there's one assistant director who's going to focus on knowledge management. And I think you will be aware that we will not be able to get an expert at an assistant director, but I think we'll be able to get someone who will be able to work on it, who have the knowledge or qualifications in knowledge management. However, we are working on it. Thank you very much. Pravina?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, DG, Minister, colleagues. In terms of disability, we realized as a department that the key challenge that we were experiencing as a country was to implement all the provisions in the white paper in terms of making sure that persons with disabilities received the services, etc., that was required, and also in terms of the UNCRPD, which basically our white paper mirrored in many ways. So what we have done is, as the department, we've developed the 4 frameworks, which is basically a guide to various government departments, duty bearers, etc., on how to actually implement the provisions of the white paper to ensure that persons with disabilities are included in every aspect of service delivery in the country. So in order to do this, every year we ensure that we monitor, aside from having one-on-one meetings with the various government departments, we also then ensure that we have awareness raising with them to help them to understand what is disability, what reasonable accommodations means, how to ensure that there needs to be universal design and access, not only in terms of building designs, etc., but also in terms of information, access to services, programs, products, etc. Because this is where we find, the gaps that unfortunately the departments don't know how to ensure that they are disability inclusive and disability responsive when they implementing their programs. And a lot of it also comes in the fact that when they're planning, they don't include for disability inclusion in their planning. So what we have done then is, aside from the one-on-one meetings, we meet with all government departments as well, and the disability rights machinery, where we get all government departments to report on how far have they come with employment equity, how far have they come with procurement spend, insofar as including disability-owned businesses, what are they doing in terms of ensuring that they're disaggregating beneficiaries according to disability as well. So where houses are provided to 100,000 people, how many of those included persons with disabilities? That sort of, so that is basically how our monitoring is going, so that we actually then able to report and understand, where are our gaps. So what we've also done to try and make sure that we identify the bottlenecks, and then to try and move towards changing and going forward, we have conducted an evaluation on the implementation of the white paper on the rights of persons with disabilities to establish, what are the problems currently experienced by duty bearers, how much of money has actually gone into rolling out the 9 pillars in the white paper, etc. And I think this is actually really going to help us pave the way to understand where where the changes need to come in order for us to reach greater heights and to reach the impact that we want to in the communities for persons with disabilities. I also want to say, in terms of planning, and what we found was, because there was no planning and there was no inclusion in the annual performance plans, we have taken it on as the department to analyze all national government departments' annual performance plans to ensure that the targets are disability inclusive. Because if there's no disability inclusion in terms of planning, then there was no disability inclusion in terms of implementation. So these are some of the key things that we have done to ensure that we have, the responsive monitoring, evaluation, also research, and then coordination. So yeah, that is the response in terms of disability. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I'm not sure if we have missed any question. If we've missed, the honorable members would show. But for now, I think we've answered all the questions.
Thank you very much, DG and your team. Can I just check with the members whether there are any questions that was not responded to, so that we make sure that we have handled all questions. Okay. Right. In the absence of no response, believing that the members' questions are all covered, and also that we, I think, have come to the conclusion or the end of this presentation and response and questions and responses from the department. Without any question, anything from the members. So lastly, is there anything? If there's nothing, let me make use of this opportunity to thank the minister and the deputy minister, honorable minister and honorable deputy minister, for attending this meeting. It was value added, and we greatly appreciate that, your presence at this meeting, honorable minister and deputy minister, and also to thank all the members of the Select Committee of Health and Social Services for a very fruitful meeting, and also to thank the DG and her team for giving us a very comprehensive presentation and also the response, which was very detailed to the questions that was raised. And also our support staff, to the committee, thank you very much for making this meeting a possibility, that we had this successful meeting. Without saying anything further, once more to thank you all, and then after closing or excusing the minister and the department, I think then we will ask just the members to, I believe, Michelle, there are minutes. If not, then we'll excuse the minister and the deputy minister.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the Portfolio Committee.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you.
It's appreciated, and yeah, thank you
Thank
very much. And we will then go to the minutes. I just want to check the date. Michelle, is so small. The 5th of May, if I'm correct. The minutes of the 5th of May. Those are the minutes. It's page 1 of the minutes. Page 1 of the minutes. Page 2 of the minutes. Page 3. Page 3, page 4. That's page 4 of the minutes. Are there any matter for correction on the minutes? If there are no corrections, can we get a proposal to adopt the minutes?
I move for the adoption, Chair. It's Honorable Nkosi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nkosi. Any seconder? Who's seconding? Can we get a... Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Healy. Thank you very much. So then we adopted the minutes. Then members, with that, we will say that this meeting is adjourned, and thank you very, very much. Michelle, we're gonna stay just a few minutes.
Yes, Chair. If Mr. Chabaleng as well as Mr. Nkosi can stay behind with us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Chair, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair, my neighbor, my
Thank
what.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Dongeni.
Okay.
Thank you very much.